Okay, so hello, we're here with the Vice-Chancellor and President of the University, Duncan, today. We're just going to be talking a little bit about sustainability and the University Living Lab. So my name's Orlanda and
I'm Fariha.
and we were interns for the University Living Lab over the summer. So we're just here to have a little conversation and see how that plays out in the uni in real life. So yeah.
It's great to have you here today,
great to be
Duncan.
here. Yeah, really good to be here.
So first of all, as you'll know, the university this year was ranked #1 for sustainability by QS. So we're really curious as students, how do you intend to kind of continue that high standard of sustainability here at the University of Manchester?
Yeah, I mean the standard is very high, isn't it? You're
Quite
number one.
daunting,
Yeah, how do you keep going? Obviously, we want to build on everything that's been put in place, right? And I think the key. One of the most important things is to get students involved in the sustainability agenda. They can get involved through the subjects they study, through the courses they take, through the activities that the university puts on. But I think it's really important to think about the next 10 years, right? And we've got a world basically in crisis around climate. So what do students want to see not only the university do, but how can students contribute to the ambitions of the university? We want to be one of the best universities in the world for sustainability. How do you contribute to that? So I guess it'd be great to get some of those ideas going over the next few weeks so we can start to map that out.
Yeah, that sounds great. Thanks.
That's really interesting because I feel like we were just talking before we came in here a little bit about the amount of missions, like sustainability wise, that the university has. And I think as a student trying to get involved, there's sometimes a little bit of a block in terms of understanding what the university can do. And there's so much information out there on the university website of like, how can I kind of react to that in real time? And there was also a strategy, I think the 2035 strategy that was happening recently. Just wondered if you had any thoughts, like elaboration on what that strategy is.
Yeah, so we've just kicked off what we're calling Manchester 2035, which is really asking the university community, students, staff, our partners, Manchester, the region, the country, the world, our alumni, what kind of university do we need to be by 2035? And it's clear that we're going to need to be a sustainable institution, whether that's environment, whether that's through our research, whether it's through our teaching, the way we operate. So we're asking the question, what else do we need to do? What should be the key priorities in this area? And I tend to think of it in kind of at least three ways. One is the research and teaching we do. Are we training graduates to be environmental leaders of the future, whether that's in engineering, science, humanities, social sciences? So we've got the right programs, the right courses, and it'd be great to get your feedback on that. Second way I think of it is, as an organization, are we behaving in an environmentally responsible way in terms of the way we think about food waste, about energy, about our physical footprint, about, our carbon footprint more generally. So how do we do that? And then the third is, and also, how our investments are, do we walk the walk, so to speak, as well as talk the talk. And then the third is, how do we work with others, right? Whatever else we do in terms of addressing the climate crisis, we're going to have to work in partnership probably in ways we've never done before, because it's very much a collective effort, right? Because we need to address the demand side, we need to address the supply side, we need to, really work with others to tackle these huge problems. And as you say, they seem massive, but there's lots of things we can do on our campus, in our community, in our city, and that's a really important part of the strategy process. How do we do that? So those three areas are going to be the focus for the strategy discussion.
Yeah, it's so multifaceted. I feel like a lot of the times it's just like taking it back to basics and having it as like building blocks that the students can understand. And so, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's interesting you mentioned kind of thinking about what Manchester's going to look like in 2035 and what kind of shape it will take kind of locally and then nationally and then within the world. We've heard the term Civic University being bounced around quite a bit. Yeah. So what is a civic university to you, and what does Manchester look like as a civic university?
It's a great question. So in many ways, Manchester is the world's first ever civic university, meaning a city created for the purpose of serving the city in which it's based. If you think about Oxford and Cambridge, there's an element of that. But Manchester, the first great modern city out of the Industrial Revolution, also wanted a university that represented that sort of modern, forward-looking view. So Manchester is one of the first universities that's had this kind of civic mission To me, what a civic university means is a university really embedded in the city, connected not only to its students and staff, but to all kinds of other aspects of the city, the health system, the economy, the cultural sector, the care sector, the creative and hospitality sector, you name it. How do we as a university serve the city? How do we demonstrate that we are partnering with the city, we're working with the city to contribute to the overall prosperity of the place, the flourishing of the place? And increasingly, that also means our contribution to the environmental sustainability of the city and region we work in. So I think a civic university is a university that has a particular kind of awareness and commitment to the city it's based in. And Manchester, I think, is one of the most deeply enmeshed universities in its city than any other university I know. That's mainly why I came, because I really admire that. I'm really aligned with that vision. So the big question for the future will be, what does this mean in terms of our environmental commitment to this city? What role do we play? We're one of the largest employers. We have one of the largest, campuses in the country. We've got one of the largest student communities in the country. What's our responsibility when we think about the environmental aspects of that footprint? How do we need to change? How do we need to behave in the future in order to contribute to addressing this, really existential crisis for the world, frankly?
Yeah, no, that's really reassuring to hear. Like, I'm from Manchester and I commute to uni, so to hear that you're going to kind of invest into the city a bit more and kind of strengthen those bonds is really, really
So
great to hear.
let me ask you. So when someone says civic university, how do you respond to that? When you think of a civic university, what do you think of?
Well, I think initially when I heard of the term civic university, it was a bit of a buzzword. I didn't know what it actually meant. So I had to go and find out the definition of that. But I think in terms of Manchester's future, it means kind of working in partnership with the people that obviously are in the city, I guess. And I think from the uni side, it's about acknowledging who we affect as a large organisation right in city centre. Obviously, there's a lot of tourism things, but there's so many things that draw people to Manchester, but the university is such a massive part. I think acknowledging the role we play on the city and then also working with the city to find out what we can help with. We've obviously got so many academics here, we've got people in professional services, we've got loads of useful skills and resources, and that's not even acknowledging the student side of things, which is where the Living Lab can kind of come into play as well. So I think just kind of having that kind of co-partnership relationship.
Yeah, it's a good way of putting it. I like that.
Yeah, which sounds amazing. But in terms of the students' role within contributing towards the University of Manchester as a civic university and working towards the sustainability strategy in particular, what kind of role do you perceive students to have, if any?
Yeah, great. A massive role, right? I mean, there's things that we can all do every day when we're on campus, right? Everything from the way we, buy our coffee to what we do with our food and how we think about our activities on campus, and the student union and the university have done a lot of work on that. I think the other thing I'm really interested in, and I've started talking to the community about this, is more embedded opportunities in our curricula for students to take their learning from the classroom into and out into the community, whether that's through an internship, a placement, field school, or indeed the Living Lab that you guys have been involved in. How do we create more opportunities for what I think of as service learning, experiential learning? But the critical thing is you want to give students a chance to go out into the community, maybe work in an environmental center or work for an environmental organization, but then you want to give students a chance to come back into the uni and reflect on that. What did I learn? What did I see? So, if you're studying politics, you're studying public health, what did I learn by being as part of that organization or having that experience? And how does it relate to the things I'm learning in the classroom? So, we've got all these great initiatives like Stellify, and we've got a lot of volunteering, we've got living labs, but how do we actually build on that and provide? My dream would be every single student in the university has a chance to do some kind of placement, some kind of program, some kind of exchange, whether it's Living Lab, whether it's going to another country for a field school, whatever it is, and get credit for that. That's part of their overall educational experience. So it's at the heart of our curriculum rather than only on the edges of it.
Yeah, that's really interesting, just hearing everything you were saying, especially about contributing to Greater Manchester in general, and especially the students' role and how it fits in with that, and especially again having these experiences and bringing them back. All I kept thinking of when you were just speaking about that was how the Living Lab does fit in so well with that. Because one thing that really stuck out to me was we went to help Ardwick Climate Action, and it was incredible just to see. For me, I'm not from Manchester, the impact that you can have on the place that's housing me. Like Manchester's given me a second home, it's given me my friends, it's an amazing place to stay, and I feel like just to live and to be a student and to be able to think about the environment, contribute to helping the air quality for children in Ardwick, that's something that obviously you want to be passionate about, and that's an opportunity that's been given through University Living Labs. And so you were talking as well about experiential learning, and I guess that would be part of it as well.
Yeah, that's what you've been doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I was just wondering, is that kind of what you're meaning, going out into the world, getting these experiences?
And I visited Ardwick, spent the afternoon at Ardwick and Brunswick with some of the people I think you worked with the environmental group, and also with the local councillor, and they told me about the work that you guys had done. And, it's fascinating thinking of that, that neighbourhood is right next to the uni, and, what's our responsibility to our neighbours, right? And that environmental project you worked on is a great example. So that's exactly it. It's about how do we give our students a chance to take what they're learning in the classroom and put it into context, right? But then, as I said, come back into the classroom and reflect on that experience. And that gives you a sense of, okay, well, this is what studying politics means, or this is what studying public health means. And I take that, and when I leave the university, I'm already, in a way, prepared and ready for the next, challenge that comes my way. So it's giving students the chance to put their learning into practice. And the Living Lab is a great example of that. I'm a big fan of the Living Lab model. There's some great universities around the world that have used that model. University of Chicago, actually University of Sydney in Australia. I mean, there are many places, and I think Manchester has a chance to really, pioneer that and develop it, and we probably need more living labs, right? Not only in relation to the environment, but there's all kinds of other areas I think I could imagine us having a kind of living lab approach.
But yeah.
And just to pick on what you said earlier, I think you mentioned experiential learning and then service learning. Is that the same thing?
Yeah, basically. I know we've got to settle on one term, don't we? I mean, the idea is similar in each, right? I mean, by service learning, we mean how do we actually help our students put their learning at the service of the community, to serve the community, but also as part of their own learning, part of their own training, part of their own experience at university. So they're absolutely linked. It's just different ways of talking about the same thing. Yeah. It's a good point, though. We probably need to settle on one term.
Yeah.
Just to link back to the Living Lab overall then, you talked about it being recognised by so many other universities. We also got UNESCO recognition in the past year. And just for an overview, we've got hundreds of projects that students can get involved with. And instead of doing a regular assessment, you can replace that with a project and research for an actual company. And we've got ones by Arup, Old Abbey Tap House, the Oxford Road Corridor. You can do research for all these amazing companies, submit it, and then they can use that in a real report, and students can build connections, obviously, with these amazing firms that are trying to better themselves, contribute back to the community.
And they probably want to hire you after you graduate.
Yeah, exactly. Got the connection, you've got that on your CV as well. And as well, just an opportunity to do that through Stellify, I think has been really, really cool and really important. And so we just wanted to ask, how would you want to kind of bring that to more people?
Yeah, well, like I said, I mean, my dream is that every single student, undergraduate and postgraduate, would have a chance to do what you two have done through the Living Lab, and to get credit for it to be part of their program. And, different courses, different programs have different requirements. We get that. But I think one way of making our commitment to social responsibility really concrete, really sort of real, is if we said to every student that came to Manchester, you're going to have a chance to do a project with a company or a neighbourhood or a government or an NGO or whoever the appropriate partner is. You're going to have a chance to do that. You're going to have a chance to reflect on it. We're going to connect it to your studies explicitly. And when you leave Manchester, you'll be able to demonstrate that you've done this, that it was part of your educational experience at the university. I don't know how you feel, but I think you should tell me this, but I think it also gives you a sense of sort of belonging, doesn't it, to the city and to the university in a slightly different way. Is that, would you say that's true? Do you get that out of your experience?
Yeah, I think so. I think kind of when you have the opportunity to work within the university and with some of the university's partners, it helps you feel kind of integrated. And I think when you have that sense of I've made a difference or I've helped make a difference, it does increase that sense of belonging, which obviously we know is really important for like
really
academic
important.
success and things.
Success. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I think ensuring that everybody can take a part in that is really, really important. And then again, like increasing visibility of it as well, just so people know what's going on and everybody has an equal chance to get involved with it and kind of take as much benefit as possible.
So I guess my goal, to go back to your original question, my goal is to make it less of a kind of, not so much, I'm not saying it's a random experience, to make it more of a normal thing for students to do. I mean, you guys obviously found it, you're passionate, and you've now become great champions of it, which is terrific. But how do we make it, from the first day a student arrives on our campus, they go, oh, I know I've got this chance. I'm going to start thinking about what project I want to do or what field school I want to go on or maybe what country I'll go to. And I can see how it's connected to my degree in politics or engineering or medicine or whatever I'm studying. I can see that right away. We make it really easy for them. And I also think our partners will be super excited if we kind of, go down this path, because talking to a lot of them in my first few months here, in some ways, they want more access to you. I think they see all these amazing students on our campus and they think, how can they help us address the challenges and problems we've got? So I think it's a win-win on both sides.
No, 100%. Almost like what you were saying of the sustainability, I feel like can be quite overwhelming sometimes, and also just even turning it into something that you almost don't have to think about because it's already there. It's already an option in the curriculum for you in the extracurricular at Manchester. Yeah,
exactly.
Having that all integrated would be fantastic.
That's the dream. That's the ambition.
100%.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time, Duncan. It's been lovely talking to you and chatting about some of the university's missions and priorities. So if anyone is interested in becoming a University Living Lab champion, feel free to email and then you can see how you can get involved. And we also have over 100 projects that anybody from any discipline can do. And you can just use them as part of your integrated assessment, so you don't have to put any extra hours towards that as well, which is amazing. But thank you so much.
Loads of fun stuff, loads of different topics too. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great.